What's up, Closer Nation? I'm going to let the live video feed build for a minute here before I talk to you about our recent episode and the sponsors and the shit that I want you to buy before you go. Anyway, we'll give this thing a couple minutes to accumulate some fine folks that'll watch this thing, and then we'll get into it here. So, all right, here's the thing. Before we get into the THC podcast number 53, 5 Trey's son, before we get into that, then let me adjust my thing here. I want you to remember to head over to elevatortothetop.com. That's right. You can see it right here. Elevatortothetop.com. Look, this book, it's got a bunch of words in it, chapters, sentences, paragraphs of awesomeness. You guys will fucking love it. Head on over, elevatortothetop.com, get a free copy. And look, like, all bullshit aside, it's like, it's $6 or $7 for a copy of $7.95. So it's like $8, let's just say, for a copy. That's for me to put in an envelope and put some extra goodies in there and a nice stamp and mail it out and pay somebody to do all that for me. And so just like go over there, you pay for the shipping and handling. I'll give you the book for free. And guess what? Right? Little secret. I may not even mention this on the actual podcast, but like, check this out. I just uploaded my latest book to the publisher last night. It should be ready in 48 hours. How awesome is that? All right, last off, before we get into the show, go over to breakfreeacademy.com/entourage. Sign up for a monthly newsletter. Look, this thing is legit, y'all. Like, seriously, this thing is packed with information. Plus, you get access to Break Free Academy Digital while you are a member of the Break Free Academy Entourage. Right now, we're doing special packages where you can sign up for an entire year for $2,500, which enables you to actually come to a Break Free Academy live for only $3,000. So for $5,500, you can become a Break Free Academy Entourage member for an entire year. That's me and you working together hand in hand for an entire year. Plus, you get to come attend one of our live events. $5,500. You can go over to breakfreeacademy.com/entourage. Now let's get this thing started for the podcast here. Welcome to the Hardcore Closer Podcast. I'm Ryan Stewman, founder of hardcorecloser.com. And this podcast is all about helping you close more deals. Look, it doesn't matter if you're selling. Well, it does matter what you sell. Like sales lives matter, right? It matters if you sell, but listen, if you're selling cars, homes, financial services, consulting, whatever it is, this podcast is dedicated to helping you, the salesperson, generate higher quality leads, right? And a steady flow of them at that, right? There's nothing wrong with having more leads than you can handle. It is a good thing. It'll also help you increase your closing ratios and show you that how you can charge premium fees to get paid what you're worth. I believe that the salesperson is grossly underpaid. Like, we spend, like, we're called salespeople. Like, can I just rant for a minute? Let me just go off on a tangent, something outside of the script here. So they call us salespeople, but it seems like they let us do anything but fucking sell. They're like, oh, you're a salesperson? Cool. Well, I need you to go on and do marketing, advertising, problem solving, tell operations how to do their job, hire somebody else, team building, management. Like, fuck! I just want to sell shit, man. I just want to fucking sell shit. But here we are. We're over here trying to do all this other shit, and then they're surprised. They're like, you're a terrible manager. It's like, no shit, boss. I'm fucking a salesperson. That was what I was hired to do. I was hired to do all this other shit. It's like Mitch Hedberg once says, like, what if you were like, it's like unfair. It's like, I got really good at comedy, and then they were like, hey, man, can you write? And he's like, that's kind of fucked up, because that's like getting really, really good at cooking and becoming the head chef. And they're like, but can you farm, right? I feel like it's the same thing to us. It's like we get really good. We're here to be salespeople, but we got to do everything but that. So here's the thing. You got to embrace it, because you can't fight it if you want to keep your job. So you have to say to yourself, I'm a marketer, I'm a closer, right? You have to keep that in mind, because the modern salesperson is both. Right? Because like I said, we're closers. We can go and we can close sales. That's what we do. We get in front of somebody, we get them on the phone, we get them on text, we close them. But here's the thing. We have to do a lot of things in order for that face-to-face, that initial contact, for us to get in front of them, to get that opportunity to close them. And the way that the market is moving is that's becoming the higher demand. So just keep that in mind as we go through what we're going to talk about today. So welcome to episode, that was my rant, by the way. So welcome to episode 53 of the THC podcast. I'm glad you're here. We're on year one, week one. That's what I'm talking about. If you are or year two, week one, rather. If you're a first timer, hey, we're super happy that you're here. Right? If this is your first time, you picked a great show, first of all, but just know that there's 52 other shows at least. I don't know where you're listening to this, but there's at least 52 other shows that you can check out as well. There's like lots of resources that come along with this show as well, like the Sales Talk with Sales Pro group. You can go to salestalkgroup.com. You can hardcorecloser.com. Obviously, sign up. Give me your email there so that I can send you emails and let you know what's up and give you some good content and all that other stuff. But if you're here for the first time, like, you can ignore this next part. If you've been here before, if you've heard any episode of this before and you haven't gone over to iTunes to leave me a review, you better own an Android, right? Like, if you're an Android, you're off the hook. You unplug your ears for the next minute. But to my iPhones people, like, listen, I know it's difficult. You got to have the podcast app, then you got to subscribe, and then you got to go find how to review it. It's a total pain in the ass. I get it, but I need your help, right? Like, doing this show every Tuesday at 9:30 is not necessarily the most convenient thing for me either, but I make time to do it because I want to help you guys and girls out. The least you can do if you own an iPhone is take the 45 to maybe 75 seconds it's going to take for you to go find the app, review it, and listen. What that's going to do is that's going to help me change lives. This is how I get my fulfillment, right? I do this so that I can get the messages like I got from a Break Free Academy Entourage member the other day that said, dude, I just had my first $20,000 month ever. Dude, that is a fucking rush. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the feeling, right? Like, that's why I do this shit, right? It's like, I'm involved in this because I want to change lives, and I need you to help me do that. One of those major ways that you can do that is by helping me get on the top of the charts for iTunes. I know there's a lot of pump up and people fake this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter at what point in the future or the past. If we've mastered time travel in the future, you never know what could go on. It doesn't matter when you're listening to this. It's like, just when right now, even while you're listening to it, just leave me a review on the podcast app. Just go to podcast, search THC, look up my show, and then hit review on the show. Man, it'll help me reach my goal of 300 million salespeople. I want to not sell to 300 million salespeople. I want to be able to get in front of them and help change their lives. And one of the ways to do that, and a major way of doing that, is through this podcast. And I appreciate your help. So, all right, here's before we jump into this, here is a review from somebody. It says, Realtor 5 stars by Sell Girl 3000. That's what I'm talking about. Sell Girl 3000. And this is fairly recent. It says, Ryan's no BS approach paired with his experience and credibility makes him high go-to for sales. You would be a fool not to do what he says. That's what I'm saying, Sale Girl 3000. She's a realtor, obviously. Appreciate that. Oh, and when you go to iTunes or the podcast app and you leave me a review, make sure it's 5-star. All right, rock and roll. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about building a Facebook group from scratch, something that I have a lot of experience with. Now, here's what you got to understand. There is a few purposes for a Facebook group. Now, we have the Sales Talk with Sales Pro group that's pushing somewhere around 50,000 real people. Now, when I say real people, there's lots of groups where people have paid like something similar to Fiverr, and they've got a bunch of fake profiles in the group and everything else. And you know, while that's you know, ego building and all that stuff for some people, that's not what we're about with Sales Pros. Just like we're not about inflated numbers with this podcast either. I just wanted to create a real community for real people to engage in. But I didn't start that. I've been in this whole Facebook group building thing since 2012. I started my first Facebook group. And over the years, Facebook groups have had different purposes. And the purpose for the Sales Talk with Sales Pros group was to build a huge community. But I have a group of, I think there's 65 people in there right now in the tribe. That's only 65 people, but it's the most close, tight-knit group, mastermind, information sharing that I've ever seen. I've been running that group since 2013. Now, we've had probably 400 or 500 people come through the group throughout the years, but it's like 65 people that are doing big stuff like Illuminati internet shit in one group, and it's awesome. So the Facebook group doesn't have to be huge. And if you think I charge $2,500 a month, it's actually $30,000 a year to be a part of our tribe. And so, you know, to have 65 people that are back there at that level interacting, it's very profitable with just a few people as well. And here's the thing, it's very profitable for everybody because the people that are investing in their business are getting a lot of business in exchange for that as well, and belonging to an elite group of network. I mean, it's an amazing thing that we've got back there. But on the flip side, I made, you know, probably $500,000 last year, maybe $1 million. I don't know. We can't track it all direct from the Sales Talk with Sales Pro groups. But there's another group on Facebook that's a secret group that I'm not going to say the name of, but it has 400 members. I'm not even the admin, and I've made over $200,000 in sales from the group. Now, I've added a lot of people to it, and I kind of coordinated and quarterbacked the whole thing. But at the same time, I've made a lot of money from Facebook groups. So the reason why I say all that to preference this is authority to prove to you that I've done this stuff. If you'd like for my help with it, you can go over to the breakfreeacademy.com/entourage and sign up for $2,500 a year. I'll show you how to do all this stuff. You can see how we do it firsthand. But more importantly, it's just to show you that this isn't like, I'm not some dude with just like 1,000 people in a Facebook group trying to act all cocky like I know everything in the world about it. We've literally built a 50,000 person Facebook group that is a movement in a community that's really changed things. And I'm going to share with you today some of the key points we did to make that happen. So, you know, first, I made a lot of mistakes creating groups. And, you know, I made them all about me. You know, the hardcore closer sales group, the hardcore closer mastermind team, and you know, I made it all about our brand and not a community. And the reason why I hit kind of a home run with Sales Talk with Sales Pros was we had a general name that people could be proud of. Like if you share hardcore closer sales group, then your friends around you are like, that's kind of a douchey thing to say, man. You know, you just get judged, and a lot of people just like passive aggressive don't want to fuck with it. But if you share Sales Talk with Sales Professionals, that sounds like some professional shit, even though it's completely full of fuckery. You can check it out at salestalkgroup.com. But I knew it was a general name that people could get behind and people could feel proud of, unlike a hardcore closer, right? It's like there to be everybody's guilty little pleasure. So, but I made that mistake of trying to be vain and make it about hardcore closer stuff until I had that realization forever. So if you're thinking about starting a group, make it about your community and your cause, not about yourself, right? That's a huge lesson. Let me share that with you. If you're a real estate agent, don't make it about the Mike Michaels home selling team. Make it about the Glen Gate homeowners association, or the Glen Gate homeowners get together, or the Glen Gate homeowners hangout, or the name of the neighbor, the city may be Dallas, right? So it's like the Dallas Homeowners Club, or a neighborhood inside of Dallas, the Willow Bend Homeowners Club. Make it about the community. I got Tony Robbins' voice going on over here. Make it about the community, not about yourself. That's going to be big. Make it to where people would want to share stuff, and they like Mike Michaels, the realtor, like, you're cool, or Mike Michaels, the loan officer, you cool, or maybe Mike Michaels, the plumber, or whatever the hell that you're into, you cool, but they're not going to share you, because then people be like, you know, asking a lot of questions. Who's this person? Why you endorsing them and all this other stuff? But if it's a general thing, it's like, hey, you know, I belong to the Glen Gate Homeowners Club. Like, dude, that's pretty cool shit. Right? Like that sounds like, you sound like you in a club, huh? Oh, you got fancy club credentials. Look at this guy with this fucking club credentials. Like you're that person. Okay. So here's what you got to do. But before you can come up with a name, right, you got to figure out what community you want to serve. So if you're a real estate agent, we know that it's not about you anymore. Because look, the Sales Talk with Sales Pro group isn't like the Ryan Stewman group. It's like the RyanStewmanShow.com. Like that's not what it's about, right? It's about everybody else. Matter of fact, I haven't posted in there for a couple of weeks, and it's still moving along just fine. And just to point that out. So it wasn't about me. It was about the community. And ultimately, these groups are going to get busy, and they're going to get a little out of hand and a little overwhelming, especially if you do it right. So you're going to have to become more and more hands off. I guess you would say less and less hands on, whatever the fuck, right? You have to do more of that. So, but first you have to figure out who your audience is. I mean, garage sale groups are pretty popular. If there's not one in your area and you sell homes or do mortgages or something home related, insurance, something like that, garage sale groups are great. If you live in a big city like the neighborhood I live in, probably has 500 homes, right? The little area that I'm in probably has somewhere around 1,500, maybe 2,500 homes. So like a garage sale group over here with every house that's $400,000 to $5 million is probably a good place for a real estate agent to open up the garage sale group, right? And maybe not even garage sale. You would call that at that point an estate sale group, right? So it's something a little bit elitist. There's always somebody trying to trump your ass, right? It's like, I've got a garage sale group. I have an estate sale group. Anyway, so there's that, right? So and that doesn't matter if you're a loan officer, if you're doing something home related, even if you're a loan officer, you say, what the hell do I want to have a garage sale group for? And you might ask yourself that as a real estate agent, but if people are going to have a garage sale, that's usually a good sign that they're thinking about moving, or if they need to get rid of shit, downsize, upsize. Like, it's usually it's a trigger mechanism. It's a tripwire that you got to look out for. If you're a real estate agent, maybe you just want to have like the homeowners club. If you're a car salesperson, right? That's awesome. Maybe you want to have a group for Mustang owners, right? The Mustang Dad Club, right? Or the F-150 4x4 club, or four-wheeling and dealing with, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like something that reaches, like with insurance, nobody wants to be in the I'm insured with State Farm, but you might have a State Farm tech support group, right? Or an insurance tech support group where people, when they have complaints and stuff, they can go to your group. And guess what? When they complain about another fucking insurance person, that's your time to swoop in like a bad dude waiting on a chick's boyfriend to slip. Just slide right in there. It's like all of a sudden she changed her status to single and you in the DM, dog, right? That's what I'm saying. People go back there. It's like tech support. It's like, finally, are there any Allstate agents in here? You guys are assholes. You're like, meanwhile, at Liberty Mutual, we don't behave that way. Right? It's like pretty. Anyway, so you got to figure out who your audience is, and then you got to figure out what community will serve them. And it's like let me reiterate how important this is. Okay, wait for it. It's not about you. Nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody gives a shit about me. You know who people give a shit about? Themselves, right? And this isn't some everybody hates me and everybody's selfish. This is the fucking truth, man. We live in a social media narcissistic society. And if you're smart enough, and if you're awake, and if you're paying attention, you can cater to that and you can make sales from it. Right. All right, cool. All right. So now you got your naming of your group. So here's what you do. So first thing that you think of, like to grow a group, you're like, okay, so I got a group, I got an audience, I got a name, I got a logo made for the banner. What's next, Ryan? And what's next is you have to grow the thing, but you don't want to be that dude. Do not be the dude or the chick, right? Who am I to say how you identify your gender? Whatever the fuck, right? Just don't be the person that like adds all these people to your group. Because here's the deal. Your mom and dad, like if they're not having a garage sale in your part of town, don't add them to the fucking group. Your homeboy that's always negative, bitching about how he can't ever have a job, don't add him to the fucking group. Add qualified people. Here's how you do that. There's a couple ways. These days, there's a shortcut. You can actually advertise the group. You couldn't do that. When we built Sales Talk with Sales Pros, you couldn't run advertisements to it. Now we could copy the link and like jump through a couple of hoops. We created the salestalkgroup.com to be able to get people there, but you couldn't run advertisements. Now you can actually promote the group just like you can promote a fan page. So there's that. And you can select your targeted audience. If you don't know anything about Facebook ads, again, you need to head over to breakfreeacademy.com/entourage to get involved with our program. We'll teach you all about it better than anybody else in the game. But you can run ads to it. The other thing though is that when you have a group, you invite key influencers in the area. So you think about a garage sale group, who would be a key influencer in the area? Maybe the president of the homeowners association, maybe the chairman of the homeowners association, right? Like those people are like the key players, like your neighbors, right? Maybe you knock on a couple neighbors' doors and you say, hey, I've got this group. I know that you know a few people here in my neighborhood. We have a country club and we act so social at the country club with our vodka and spritzer looking over the lake, right? But anyway, we go to the country club. I fucking meet all my neighbors and shit there, right? If I had a Facebook group and if I was going to be a real estate agent, I would kill it just for the fact that I go get drunk with my neighbors and stumble home. They live next to me. We hold hands like the Wizard of Oz. So I'll have to see the lizard. Anyway, so like, you know, it just makes like everything super easy. And I've met all my neighbors there. right? So I would see them in person. I'd be like, hey, the people at the bar, hey, every time that somebody comes in here, I'll give you, I'll tip you next time I come in here if you hand out these cards to get everybody who comes in here so that they can be a part of our community page. I would just go right to the country club and give all the wait staff $20 and a stack of little flyers for them to join our Facebook page. Next thing you know, I'd have a group grown. Here's what I did for Sales Talk with Sales Pros, though, is I reached out and I had influencers in the group. Brian Horn, Kevin Nations, Garrett J. White, a few of my friends, and I asked them, it's like, hey, would you be willing to contribute into this group? In exchange, then you can prospect in there all you want as well. And then it kind of got out of control, and they stepped back after a while and just kind of let me take over, which is mighty polite of them. And I have endorsed them a lot since, and it's worked out better, I believe, that way for them. But the group grew because I had a spot where selective influencers were all in one spot, and people could come, and there were no ads. Right now, there is the recording of this episode. There's still no ads in the group. It's the only ad-free space on the internet, if you think about it. Like inside Facebook groups, you don't scroll the group and see an ad. It's coming. They said they're releasing it soon. Fuckers. It's coming soon, but they have monetized every other feed out there, and this one they haven't, but it's coming soon. And so that's something to think about. Up until this time, it's been ad-free as well. And now the fact that it's coming soon means you need to hurry up and get your people in there before your competition starts running ads to pull your prospects out of the group that you built. But guess what? In Sales Talk with Sales Pros, I've already conditioned everybody to fucking report, spam, and block any non-Stuman ads in the group. It's going to be fucking awesome. So it should be like the most savage group of all time. I love it. So that's it for our show today. So think about this. When you're going to start a group, doesn't matter how big or how small, it's how you work it, right? That sounds like I got a little dick, right? That's like something the guy with the little dick would say. It's like, doesn't matter how big or how small it is. It's not the size of the boat. It's the motion of the ocean. Quit making such a commotion. All right. Anyway, so it's like, it's not how big it is or how small it is. Again, the sexual endo is deep today, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting hot in here. Anyway. So the other thing is be selective on who your audience is. Make sure you name it correctly, right? Make it something you would want to identify for people to say, I'm proud of this, right? Like so people can actually have some ownership to it. Don't make it about you. That is so douchey and nobody gives a fuck. I don't care who you are. Unless you're a celebrity with like a bunch of believers following you around, like get off of your high horse, right? None of us, myself included, none of us are that fucking cool, okay? And then the way to grow the group is to get influencers in there, originally cool people, and to kind of help them build your brand. It's like, hey, I got cool people. It's like, it's like high school. It's like, here's the cool people club. And in your group is like where all the cool people are. And that's how we've grown Sales Talk with Sales Pros, the tribe, and everything else. So, all right, real quick, head over to elevatortothetop.com. I've got free books, even for the kangarooiest of the kangaroosters out there. And then you can head over to breakfreeacademy.com/entourage, and you can get on our newsletter and digital training program. That shit is the bomb, y'all. And of course, if you're not already a subscriber at hardcorecloser.com, what in the actual fuck are you waiting for? So if this is your first time here, make sure you check out all the other episodes. For your second time, leave me a damn review. I guess that's it, everybody. Have a great week. Let's go close some sales.